Okay, so last time what we did was we created this from scratch. That means we started our spreadsheet with nothing, if you want to call it that. And this is where we are right now. I just want to show you a cool trick on how you can see the formulas behind the values. It's so nice, and that is what I use to see if you guys used formulas. Because by just looking at this, you could have gone and used a calculator and you could have just entered these values. But there is a way for me to go and see the background of this so that I can tell that you really used the formula. And I guess I will have to take a photo of my keyboard, but it's not difficult. So you press on Control and you press next to 1 on your keyboard. And now I'm not saying the numeric 1, I'm saying the 1 at the top, where you will also find just below F1. Now next to 1 is what we basically call, is like this accent. That's what I used to put in the Afrikaans. So for those of you who write in Afrikaans, that is what I used to put in the little, that little, what is the thing called next to N? But if you press Control and that button, it changes to what's going on in the back, what we call the formula version of the spreadsheet. So when I change to the formula version of the spreadsheet, I can tell what is behind these values. And I can actually see how you entered your values. For example, I can see here that you did not enter it with a currency symbol. I can see that you didn't enter it with strange commas, points, and things like that. Here I can see that you have a formula. Here I can see at the end that you have a formula, all these things. So this is where I can see what is going on behind the values. So you guys are going to print formula versions in the exam probably. No, probably not, because you're going to submit via email. But you may, I will obviously convert to formula version when I mark. So if you wish to see things differently, just press, we call it Control Accent. If that really is an accent, I wonder. So if you want to change back to what you were seeing before, you just press Control Accent again and it will be back the way it was. And this formula version, like I said, is very, very handy. This is basically the one thing um, that can uncover all lies, if you want to call it that. So it helps us to see where you went wrong. And this has saved me a lot of times when I make some mistakes, or if I get different values, or if I see stuff that I shouldn't be seeing. I would just convert to formula version. I can see, oh, but there's a space here. Oh, but I pressed something else or whatever. Okay, so just for interest's sake, this is not part of this lesson. I also don't think it's part of the other lessons, but you guys would have noticed that on my Excel spreadsheet for your group, I also enter your student number, and you guys know that the first number in your student number is a 0. Now, this is simply for interest's sake. If I enter a student number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I press enter, you will see that the 0 disappears. Why? Because in a number, a 0 before a number means nothing. If I have 0, 1 apples, I still have only 1 apple. If I have 0, 2, it will still be 2. So, but if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, one doesn't always know that that is a student number. So if you want to enter a student number in Excel, or actually a phone number, that also has a 0 in front, right? So anything that contains a 0 in the front, but you do not wish to lose that 0, you will have to enter it with a single quotation mark, or actually a double quotation mark. So if I re-enter the number, okay, I will start by pressing quotation mark. Okay, that would be shift quotation, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it definitely is a single quotation, but let me just 0, 0, 1, 2, just entering a lot of numbers. There we go. So single quotation, and then you enter the number and you press enter. You will also notice that the number displays on the left side of the cell, which means Excel does not think it's a number. This is read as a word. And we all know And you guys are going to do this in Access after Excel, but this will be counting as a primary key field or a field that identifies as basically a name or a string of characters. For example, if you think of your ID number, that is not a real number, it is an impossible large number. When you read your ID number, you don't read it as 6,500,000,400. That is not how I read Anna. So it identifies you as a name almost. And that is why it also picks it up as a name. So when you get this exclamation mark next to it, it just says that the number in the cell is formatted as a text character. And then you just click on this little down arrow and you say ignore error, and then it will remove all little green corners, all other things that will indicate that you may have made a mistake here, because Excel is a number program. It's got numbers from top to bottom, so it's thinking, oh, maybe you made a mistake here. So you are just saying, no, I did not. This is how I wish to enter this. Okay. So that was just something totally different, totally off topic, but I thought I'd share it with you just in case you wish to know how to do that. So we are going to start formatting the spreadsheet, and then we're going to add a chart. So I'm going to start right at the top. Okay, we are going to change cell A1, and just remember I said that A1 contains the title, AB or B1 is totally empty, as is C1, even though it looks as if we have content in those two cells, we don't. And the reason why we know that is when we click in these cells, nothing appears in our formula box. So when you click in A1, you will see the whole title display there. Okay, so we're going to format this as a title style, and you just click in A1 and then you scroll on over to cell styles and you click on title style, and that will change it to title style. Now, I think in the first lesson I mentioned that even though A1 contains the title, we are going to merge these cells together so that it becomes one cell. Okay, so how do we do that? We just click in A1, hold down the mouse, drag all the way to N1, and once you have selected your range, we never, and this is something I want you guys to remember, but we never go over the last one in our you don't go further than your last cell. Otherwise, it looks stupid. If your title just jumps over the edge at the end. Okay, so you usually end where your spreadsheet ends. Okay, and then we just say merge and center. And it doesn't look like we are, it does look like we are changing. Okay, that one is 18, which is fine. And we are now going to change the font to Cambria. So let's click here, and when you look for a specific font, you can just start typing it, CAM, Cambria. Yep, there we go. So we have merchant center this cell, we have changed it to a title style, and now we need to change the color to blue accent 1. Remember the A that is underlined represents the font colors. So I'm going to blue, blue accent 1. There we go. Now we are done with this, the big title. Now we are going to the subtitle, or should I say big title, main title. Okay, for the subtitle, we are going to change it to 14 font. Okay, and also Cambria. Once again, if it doesn't come up in the recently used ones, you can just say Cam and it will come up here. And we are also going to merge and center this one all across, and you just select A2 to N2 and you press merge and center. Okay, since we used blue accent 1 last, we are just going to click on this A that is underlined, and that is going to change it to the same color. If you are someone who doubts things like that, you are welcome to click on the list arrow and just go ahead and click them. All right. Merge and center, merge and center. We are ready to continue. Okay, we are now going to look at our column titles. This is a column title, this is a row title, which means this is a little heading for the stuff below, and this is a little heading for the stuff on the right. So let's start out with these ones. We are selecting all of them, and we are going to change that cell style to heading 3. And you will notice that heading 3 underlines it a little with a blue, a light blue line. And we're also going to do the same with the expenses column headings. And we can just go and say heading 3 as well. You could have selected them both at the same time. It would have been like this. Selecting the first one, holding down control, and now selecting the next one. That is what we call a non-adjacent range, which means the ranges are not next to each other. Okay, so you're selecting a range, and then you're moving down to a different area, and then you're selecting that range. Okay, once you have selected, you go to cell styles and you say heading through. Okay, what else are we going to do here? Okay, now we are going to apply. It looks like the currencies, we're going to change this to currency, and it did not look like we are going to insert the rand or dollar symbol yet. Um, we can make sure of that later, but I'm going to show you how to do that now. Usually in a spreadsheet, we only format the top and the bottom to currency, and then the rest will be comma style. So as you can see, I'm selecting the first row and I'm selecting the total row. I'm selecting the first row and I'm selecting the total row. And this last one I'm selecting, but this one is actually going to change to something else. Yeah, sure, I shouldn't have done that now. I have to start over. So I'm leaving the net one a little bit because that one is coming up last. Okay. So I want to change that to currency, and you would notice here is a block and it says general in there. And if you look here, it also says this is the accounting number format that is active at the moment. But let's say, for example, we want to go and change it to currency. What is the difference between currency? For the rand is, I'm going to show you, it's difficult to explain. When you say currency, the rand symbol is tightly next to the number. But if you say accounting, the rand symbol is more like on the side. I prefer the accounting symbol because everything is nicely underneath like this. True, all the R's are in a line. Okay, so if they say currency, then obviously you will choose currency. If they say accounting, you can choose accounting. What is the difference? There is no difference except for where do we put the currency symbol. Now, I will have to go and look at what they say here, but let's leave it for now like this. Now we are going to focus on all the numbers in between the top and bottom rows. So once again, I'm selecting the middle row. If it was more than one, you would have selected however many it was. Holding on control, and now we are selecting all the rows in between in the second area as well. And now we just click on comma style. And when you do that, you will notice that it inserts a space, which is basically a 1000 separator. And it also makes sure that everything is now nicely in line. Okay, except net. Can you see net is not yet that? Because we haven't changed it yet. So I didn't select net when I did that. Okay, so all of our zeros turn to dashes and all of our values or money values have now got 1000 separators if it is in fact more than 1000. Okay, so let's focus on the total rows now. So we're going to select the first total row and we're going to hold in control and we're going to select the last total row, not selecting net yet because net is a little bit different. And when you click on cell styles, you will see that there's also a total cell style available, and that just puts in a single top double bottom line, which makes it look very nice. I love that feature about Excel. In accounting, for those of you who ever did accounting, obviously you also do that double underline in your accounting books. Okay, so let's go to net now. If I remember correctly, net was just a regular normal cell color. I think it was a darker one. And of course, it was just a regular comma style. It didn't look like there was any values, rand values there. Yo, I should wear my glasses. No, there is a rand value. Okay, so I'm changing the background color to accent 5, which I did, and now I'm just going to use the accounting for this one as well. So you will notice here that it inserts the rand, and all the rands are now in line. Okay. There is a background shadow as well to the rows that are not headings and totals. So I'm going to select them all at the same time. It's also a cell style. So I'm selecting them all at the same time. You will see it's dark, light, or light, dark, dark. You'll see what I mean just now. So once again, I'm holding control. It does expect us to select the row titles. Remember these being row titles. And it is this one that is light, dark, but actually that is format as a table. No, it's not format as a table. Okay, I'm going to choose this one, but I'm not feeling that this is the right one, so I'm going to just select it for now. I feel like I'm going to make a change to it soon. Something doesn't feel right. Okay, so now the next thing that I talk about is column widths. That is a difficult word to say for an Afrikaans person. So how do you change column widths? Okay, the first way you can do it is you can take your mouse and you can put it between the A and the B, or between the C and the D, or whatever. If you do it one by one, it's like this. Between A and B, you just place your mouse on the vertical line and you double click, which will enlarge A up to the longest entry, being entertainment. If you know how long it should be, okay, you can also select it like this. Now let's say, for example, I'm going to do a couple of columns at the same time. I'm selecting in the gray area. Just notice that if you do it like this, it's not going to work. Okay, you have to select in the column name, if I want to call it that, the B, C, D. So you are selecting that, going sideways all the way. And when you get to M, you will notice that I'm not selecting N because I want N to be a little bit bigger. Okay, it being a total row and all. So now you right click on any of these column headings, and there will be an option that says column width. Select column width, and here you can change it to, let's say, 10. If you do one by one, it's just going to take you much longer. But of course, you could have done one by one. You could have said column width 10, right click column width 10, right click column 10. Not necessary to do one by one. I'm making column N a little bit bigger, so I'm going to make that 12, and that is why I would do that one separately. Another cosmetic change that I would encourage is just centering your column headings. So selecting the column headings, holding down control, selecting the column headings, and then just say center, just regular center, not merge and center. Okay, so we are basically done with this. We just need to name the sheet. And remember what I said right in the beginning. Now we call this a workbook because it contains many sheets. In this case, it has one, but it's going to have one more now. So let's say, for example, I want to rename sheet 1 to be a little bit more explanatory. So I will just double click in sheet 1. When it is selected, I will change it to monthly budget planner. Press enter. You must press enter. If you don't press enter, it won't activate. I'm calling it activate. Okay, right click on it, and we are changing the color of this tab to orange accent 2. Now, when I select orange accent 2, you'll see there's just like an orange shadow, almost like a drop shadow below monthly budget planner. That is because you will only see it when you're not on the sheet. Okay, so I'm going to insert a second sheet now just to show you. And here you will see now monthly budget planner is nice and orange accent 2. When you have inserted a sheet that you do not want anymore, you simply right click on it and you just say delete, and it will delete the sheet. So never stress about inserting too many sheets. You can always delete them. Just don't delete the wrong one. Okay. So that is how far it goes for the sheet. How do we insert a chart? Now, for this specific spreadsheet, we are going to insert a chart only for the expenses, and it's going to be a pie chart. Now, for a pie chart, you only need two ranges. The one range being the names, basically, and the other one being the totals or the amounts. So in this specific case, we are selecting A9, which is this, all the way to A16. Hold in Control and select N9 to N16. Why do we not select the total? I think I don't really need to say why, because you all know if I select all nine of those and the total is going to be this big and everything else is going to be this small. Let me do that. I'm going to show you how it looks. I'm selecting the total. Just note that this is not right. Then you click on Insert, you click on Charts, and you're going to go for this 3D pie chart. So I'm going to delete it right now because it's not right, but I want to show you why you should not insert the total. As you can see here, the total is huge. It makes up half of everything. Why? Because all the other totals are exactly as much as this total, because all these things add up to this. And that is why we do not insert the total. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. Your chart is going to be flawed. So I'm deleting that and I'm selecting the correct range, which is rent up to miscellaneous, and then of course the totals. Not the total, just the totals for each of these. Okay. Then I'm saying insert. Once again, I'm heading over to charts and we are inserting this 3D pie chart. In the instructions, it says you can also insert the donut chart. Don't do that. Okay, it definitely is the pie chart. Okay, 3D pie chart. Okay, so once you have inserted this, you will notice that there is a plus sign, all right? And when you click on the plus sign, you will see all sorts of different things that you can add to your chart. For example, a chart title, which is definitely what we want. And at the moment, that chart title just says chart title, but we are going to change it. Then you can also add a legend, okay, and a label. The legend is what you see here at the bottom. The legend is actually so vitally important because it gives you an indication of what represents what. For example, food is represented by orange. Okay. If you did not know that, if this legend wasn't there, you wouldn't know what that means. If you were to insert dot or labels, yeah, I guess you could do away with this, but then you still wouldn't know what it represents. If you choose to insert the data labels, it will give you the actual amount for each of these. But we did not have to do that. Just showing you that you can. Okay. Secondly, you can also choose different styles, right? And here we have style 1, style 2, and style 3. And the one that we are selecting looks like style 3. So if you select style 3, you will notice that it contains a percentage that each of these slices represent. And that is why we call it a pie chart, because it looks like a pie that you can slice. Okay. So I feel sorry for this guy. He's only getting a teeny teeny bit of pie. Okay. But let's say this is some pie that we don't enjoy, so then it wouldn't matter. That is just, yeah, all pie is good, I guess. So we need this to be able to tell what we make of this chart. Okay, so now that we have our chart the way we want it, and this is just the introduction to charts, we're going to still do a lot more charts in the second and third class participation. So once we have all of that, we can now enter ourselves a little title, and the title is called Monthly Expenses. If you don't add a title, you don't know what you're looking at. Right. I think I've covered all of that. Yep. Okay, so our chart is basically done, and this chart can be moved all over. Okay, just notice that when I drag this chart along like this, I always click in a blank area. So if it tells you to position your chart below your spreadsheet, you will just take your mouse and drag it below. But for this specific exercise, we are sending this chart to its own page, And that is such a nice thing to do because we don't want to cram everything in on one page. As always, make sure that your chart is selected. You know that it is because of all the dots. And then you say move chart, and it's going to ask you, where do you want to move your chart? So you can say to a new sheet. Okay, that means I want to send it off to a different sheet where it can be on its own page. And then you just click on OK, and you will notice that you now have a second sheet in your workbook, and it only contains your chart. So this will also be changed. You don't want it to say just chart 1. You will say, just want to see if they say specifically, probably monthly expenses. Let's change the color over here. I'm just going to go in and say blue accent 1. Normally the chart shouldn't be the first sheet you see. So how do you move sheets? You just put your mouse on this tab, pull it sideways and drop it there. And you will notice if I pick it up, it becomes a little piece of paper, or it looks like a little sheet of paper. And then you will notice there's also this little black arrow. My mouse is on it right now, and that indicates where it's going to drop it. So obviously I'm not dropping it in the same position. So if I move it here, it will drop it before my first sheet, but that's not where I want it. So I'm picking it up and I'm dropping it here. All right, so we have 2 sheets now, both of them each a page. And now let's quickly see how this is going to print. So if I say file print, you will notice that this sheet is going to print up to June, and it's going to cut it off, and it's going to print on 2 pages, and that is not what we want. Okay, so we must change our settings. When we get back to the sheet, you will see it's got a dotted line here. That shows you where it's going to cut your page. So obviously we wish to change it to a landscape page. So we're going to go to page layout. And the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to change it to landscape orientation. Okay. But now you notice that it still cuts off here at October. There is a way you can fix that. You will go to margins and you will say, oopsie, custom margins. When you get to custom margins, you will just head on to page and you will say fit to one page. When you click on fit to one page, I promise you, even if you have 100 columns, it will fit it on one page. It's going to be this small, but it will fit, because we are instructing Excel to fit it on one page. So once I say OK and I go and preview again, file, print, preview, you will notice that everything fits on one page, and it's not even too small to read. If you are concerned about the size, you can also change it to narrow your margins, but it will anyway adjust your margins to fit accordingly. Okay, let's have a look. This one should anyway print horizontally, and it should fit on one page anyway. But let us just see. Yep, it's also like that, and you can also just do it for the chart. It's already set to print on one page. All right, so that is the end of this lesson. I hope I didn't miss anything. Let's just quickly check to see if we didn't. So I'm going to stop my recording quickly, and I'm just going to see that we covered everything.